Hey guys. Hello ladies. How's it going? Can you guys hear me? Okay. There we go. Oops. Hello. Please like this video as you come on in. Thank you so much for joining me. I have some things to show you guys. Oh my gosh. I'm just getting situated. Happy almost Friday. How are your ladies' week going? Or how's it been so far? So I wanted to go live to talk about and show you guys some things that I've been seeing in this space. Right? And yeah, just wanted to come on and show you guys some things that I've been seeing and talk about it a little bit. I was on my Instagram today. And if you guys follow me on Instagram, it's just at Fine Womanhood. I posted like some stuff on my stories about men with podcasts and just where this is all going. And as you guys don't know, there's like a podcaster, or he's like a internet personality by the name of Andrew Tate, and he became really big pretty much with like the white and non-black side of social media when it comes to dating and relationships. I'll be honest, I haven't really seen a lot of black men pushing Andrew Tate stuff as much as they did, at least with Kevin Samuels and other Black Manosphere content creators. Even though Andrew Tate is technically half black, his father is black. He doesn't look black. Like, he doesn't carry himself black. He's much more white affiliated, white identifying, I guess, just non-black identifying. And plus he lives in Romania. Right? So he got banned on everything recently here on the internet. And I wrote on my Instagram story just a little bit about him, and just the things that he was saying. And so he also, let me upload this since I'm already talking about it. So he put up a final message on like this YouTube channel. I think all of his platforms got banned, deleted, or erased. His TikTok, his YouTube, Facebook, his Instagram, everything is gone, right? He got banned. So the funny thing is I watched this entire video. That's like an hour and 13 minutes. In the entire video, he doesn't address any of the controversial things that he says. All he talks about is that he obviously he plays victim. He does a lot of wordplay in this entire video. And he says that he's just trying to help men become confident, tenacious, and tough. He admits that he was bullied heavily when he was younger, and the passing of his father really affected him. All of these things dedicated to like his background, to kind of give people a inside look into why he thinks the way he thinks and why he does the things that he does. And he addressed the allegations of him living in Romania to do sex trafficking and to hold women hostage and things like that. And he said all that stuff was fake. What was true is that his house did get raided, but they did not find anything. So he said all of that, and he addressed rumors and things like that in this video. Now, I haven't listened to a lot of things that he has said, but what I have listened to is really no different than what pretty much everyone else has heard since being online already. He's not really singing a different tune. He's just, he's much more appealing to like the non-black audience. So I feel like this is their first time hearing certain things that he said, but he hasn't said anything different than what Kevin Samuels has said and what other Black Manosphere content creators have said. Tariq Nasheed and all those other guys on here haven't said anything different, but he packaged it in a way to make it more appealing to non-black people, which made him go insanely like viral and get so successful off of this weird message that he's been putting out there. And the other things he said in this video, he doesn't mention. It's just funny because he doesn't mention any of the controversial things that he says. He gives his story and is vulnerable to in hopes that the people listening will be sympathetic and empathetic towards him, and he's trying to ride this wave of being misunderstood. And then he goes on to say, I love women, women are amazing, and all of these things. And um I don't want to live in a world where women can't do things and women are harmed and all of that. But it's just like the reason why he went viral is not because he was saying that he loves women. It's not because he was saying that he believes men should pay for anything, that like pay for dates and all of that stuff. He didn't go viral for those reasons. He went viral for the things that he said that makes men feel empowered. And in order for a lot of these guys on here to feel empowered, they have to bring women down. They have to make women feel inferior, like directly feel it. Women already walk around knowing that we can get attacked by some big crazy man. We already know that there's certain things that we have to be careful and watch out for as women because we're more vulnerable in a lot of violent situations. So we don't need a guy to come on here and remind us about the areas of life where we're inferior in, the parts of life where we're vulnerable in. We don't need that reminder. We get it every day just from being out in the world on our own, right? So if men are actually on here saying that and pushing that, it's for a reason. And the reason is to make other men who are weak feel empowered. But the real reasons as to why men should feel empowered is for their ability to build certain things. It's for their ability to be good human beings, for their ability to be good leaders. A man's feeling of empowerment should never come from putting women in their place. Should never come from humbling women. It should never come from making women feel bad for who they are, or who they choose to be. Every woman, every human being can make a choice on who they want to be, and who the hell are you to shame and guilt trip them into feeling bad about that. Because like over here, these men can have their truths all that they want, right? I actually prefer that men say the truth, because then as a woman you can listen to them, believe it, take it for what it is, and move accordingly, vet accordingly, and choose accordingly the type of men you want around you. So the last thing we need is men shutting up and acting all perfect when we know they have distinct and particular thoughts and perspectives on life. I think it is important that women know these things. But to the point where it's actually verbally abusive and harmful towards women, I don't find as necessary. Like, if he really wants to empower men, he needs to do so by not involving how women need to act within that message. Like, just talk solely about what men need to improve on. Just talk about how men can be more tough and how men can be more tenacious. Why are you talking about women? Why are you talking about how fat women are? Why are you talking about single mothers? Why are you talking about all of these things that are irrelevant to men becoming better men in their everyday lives by themselves on their own? Right? That is why he got banned, because he's not being consistent with his message. He has a hidden message within his overall message, and that is what made him viral, and that is what also got him banned. And what has also been disgusting is that I have seen a lot of traditional and or conservative women supporting this man, supporting his message, saying that it was horrible that he got banned. We need more quote unquote alpha males in society. We don't need we don't need alpha males like this. Apparently, this pro male movement is pretty much just about Men doing whatever they want. I have seen countless comments from men on these types of videos talking about how the ultimate man is one who does whatever he wants when he wants to do it. And I'm telling you, historically, and even today, with some good men that are still left that we see, men cannot do, really, nobody can do whatever they want, when they want, how they want to, whenever they feel like it, especially if you are involving other people within that process. That is selfish, that is inconsiderate, and it's actually very harmful and incredibly dangerous. You are doing whatever you want, making sure you do what feels good, but that doesn't mean there's no consequences. That doesn't mean that other people aren't going to be involved within that process of you fulfilling your desires. Like, you have things to think about when you set out to do whatever it is you're trying to do. There's other factors that are going to be affected that you need to think about. But in particular, for women, right? For women, we have these spaces online, BWE, and there's other non-black women that have their spaces as well. Why aren't these spaces getting banned and investigated? Why isn't my house getting raided? You know what I'm saying? Like Cynthia G's house ain't got raided. Why aren't they getting raided? You know why? Because women aren't threatening. Women, technically, we say what we want, but we still don't always do exactly what we want, no matter what. Who cares who anyone thinks? Like, women don't really have that type of privilege. It's really men who have that type of privilege, but the only reason why it doesn't get executed the way they want to every time is because there's other men who hold them accountable, right? Andrew Tate got banned by other men who own these platforms, by the guys who own Instagram, the guys who own Facebook, the guys who own YouTube, the guys who own just everything else, and TikTok. They banned him. It's other men like that that will keep the men who are screaming, we want to do whatever we want. It's other men that are actually in control. It's other men that didn't do what they wanted, but did what was right, what made sense, what was beneficial for the masses. It's those men that are in charge, and it's those men that will silence you, and those men who will put you in your place if you are a man who thinks you can just go out here and act buck wild like a chicken with its head cut off, harming women and children, lying, being degenerate, sticking your penis in any good looking vagina that comes your way. Like, this is the message that men like this guy. Oh God, I don't even want to say his name for real. that is, those are the types of messages that the men on here are talking about. Men with these podcasts and men with these microphones, and it's not right. And the women who are agreeing with this are saying that this is what being an alpha is. This is what it means to be a man. Completely let your ass hang out is basically what I interpret it as being a man. Because being a man means you have some discipline, you have some restraint. Being a man means you build, you lead. It means that there's going to be some nights where you're not going to be able to party with everyone else because you have responsibilities and you have things you need to handle, right? And that is the burden that can come with being a man. There's also burdens that come with being a woman, right? But those are the burdens that come with being a man. We all have certain things that we have to acknowledge. That's a part of the process that we may not like. There's dirty parts to everything we're trying to do. So if you're trying to preach this pro male message where you can avoid all the dirty parts, you can avoid all the responsibility and just live life on the edge, fast paced cars, half naked girls, sex, 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 and no, and then at the same time, just never get an STD, never get anybody pregnant, never have any woman come up and say that you treated her inappropriately. You're foolish. You're an idiot if you think you can live a life, have a lifestyle like that with no issues whatsoever. You're dumb. Okay, I'm sorry if you think that you're dumb. You're an idiot. And that is something that he says in a lot of these clips. And I was kind of low key going back and forth with a girl on Instagram who she didn't confirm that she agreed totally with this man's message, but she was open to hearing his message because she's in general open to listening to messages that she disagrees with or that aren't very positive. And she basically commented that she doesn't know why he even got banned because he tells men to be better and to be confident and all these other things and talks about traditional, family life and all these things. And I told her, honey, if this man only talked about that, he would not get banned. Okay? He would not. There's plenty of people that are on here talking about the importance of family and being strong and confident and sweet and amazing, and they're not banned. So it's just like if you have a man who is claiming that that is what he's trying to express to people, but and somehow there's just always a nuance and he gets banned, obviously that's not his motive. His motive is not to teach men how to be confident and kind and strong and all of these things. He has other motives, right? And at the end of the day, we should all know this, that these men say these completely outlandish, unrealistic things and paint this fantasy lifestyle for these weak, lonely, bitter men that are watching from home, and they just do it all for money. They do it all for money. Over 90% of the men that was watching Kevin Samuels, that watches this guy, will never have that high value guy lifestyle ever. They won't have it. They daddy didn't have it. They granddaddy didn't have it. The pappy of the pappies didn't have it. They'll never see it. They'll never see it. But they're gobbling up this message and this fantasy because it's like crack. It's like crack to them, and they're making these guys famous. So, throughout watching his video, he was real remorseful now. Like now that he's banned and now that he, can't talk completely out of his ass and get away with it anymore, he was real remorseful, talking about his childhood, talking about him getting, he was like a boxing champion or whatever, talking about how nervous he was when he got in the ring to knock somebody out, which was his choice, by the way, to have that career, and talking about that and how no woman has ever came out and said that she was harassed or raped by him or whatever. And let me tell you why. I found another video that his brother, so this is his brother, they kind of pretty much look the same, that his brother did, is actually this video I have right here, our snapshot of the video. And he said in this interview that him and his brother Andrew, I think this guy's name is, I don't know, I forgot, Tristan or Tom or something like that. It starts with a T. But his brother said that they fly out girls that they find through modeling agencies, Instagram, same old. They pay them an allowance. They make them sign NDAs, non-disclosure agreements, to come over and to Romania, whatever the hell they live, and sleep with them and party with them and be with them. So throughout the entire video, his final message video, he just kept reiterating, like, no woman has come out and spoke against me. No woman has said anything. And it's just like, well, no, is Sherlock. You have every girl signing NDAs. If they come out and say anything, they'll get sued. They'll get sued or thrown in jail because they ain't got no money to pay off anything in court. So no, they're not going to come out and say anything. You paying them. So that's another thing right there. But that was an old video from like 10 months ago, way before like he really went viral and stuff like that. So no one really saw that video, and no one really knows that. But he definitely has women sign NDAs. Okay, a man that's having not only a bunch of women, that's already just an issue right there, but having them all sign NDAs too, you already know there's some crazy crap going on that he doesn't want to get out. Because if you're dating a girl or messing with girls and it's a normal situation, you shouldn't be having people sign contracts and stuff. You have people sign contracts when you know you're up to no good, when you know you're doing things that are going to tear down your business, your reputation, or whatever. It is what it is. I mean, especially with the things he's talking about, right? So this final message video, It was nothing like the messages he's been putting out on a regular basis that got him viral and famous in the first place. It's like he wanted to completely change his tone. Okay. And then he kept saying in this video that people are getting clips of what he says and making them into small videos and adding it up, or creating a new video of little clips of things that he said to create a narrative that he's like this super villain. And I am so sick and tired of hearing these guys on here say stuff like that. I'm tired of these men coming on here on purpose and intentionally to talk out of their butt, and then a clip gets uploaded for 2 minutes or 15 seconds somewhere, and then they come back and say, oh, you took it out of context. Oh no, you need to watch the whole thing for an hour to understand what I was saying for 10 seconds. No, I don't. One thing about these men on here is they say exactly what they mean. You don't need to listen to them babble on for 2 hours about how women need to be more submissive and stop being fat to understand that they're saying that women need to be more submissive and stop being fat. Like, I don't need to listen to you for 2 hours talk about that. So he just kept saying people are mixing up his words and making clips and videos, putting different things together to make him sound like he's this woman hating, pro male hypersexual person. But it's just like, sir, first of all, the things that made him go viral weren't a bunch of edited clips. They were direct clips of him saying exactly what he means. And that is what people heard and listened to and believed. And that's what made him go famous. No editing, no type of anything. Like, these guys sit here and say you need to listen to them for 2 hours to understand what they're saying. No, you do not. Honestly, 15 seconds is really all you need to understand their point of view, because they say it and they're as direct as possible. You don't need to sit there for no 2 hours to listen to him. So he just kept saying stuff like that through this video. It was just a bunch of stupidity, because at the end of the day, everybody knows what he's really about. And he's trying to clean it up, and there is no cleaning up. What do you guys think? Selfish Lips said Deuce said get with teenagers because 20-year-olds are ran through. Yes, exactly. So that's something he didn't want to address in his final message video. The whole thing, that was the last stream I did. The last stream I did when I actually cammed up. It was a very long stream, but we touched a little bit on the topic of younger women and older men, like significantly older men, like women under the age of 25 getting with 40-year-olds. And we all talked about how women that age are not interested in getting with, marrying old men. They're not. And that's what brings me back to what I was saying before. These guys can desire 20-year-olds all they want, but the reality of it is 20-year-olds are not running to 40-year-old men in mass. There's some that might be, but that is a very small number. The vast majority of 20-year-old girls want younger men. They want men within their group. They want men on their college campus. No 20-year-old girl is on a college campus going to the damn cigar lounge to find a man. That's just not happening. Where those old men be at, those cigar lounges and stuff. She's trying to get with the frat boys and all this stuff. Like, she's thinking that they're the cute ones and the football players and all that. That's like the average 20-year-old young girl. She's not trying to get with men like this. But these weirdo psycho men swear that all these young women want them. No, they do not. That is a very small number. Very small number. And not only that, but majority of older men are broke. They're not good looking at all. They're not attractive to be with a younger woman, even if, like, you know, it was more of a thing. When you see older men, you usually see them looking jacked up. You don't see them looking fine. It's just the reality. Like, so all these guys online watching this man, watching Kevin Samuels, don't even meet the standard, never, most likely never will, and never have. but pushing the message so hard onto women. And it's just like, dude, like, you're not that guy. You'll never be that guy. Your life was never set up for you to be that guy. Give it up. He got banned because white women and men will not let him disrespect them. White men don't like degenerates representing them. Exactly. That's exactly why he got banned. White men don't want messages about how girls who just graduated from high school are next up for marriage, and all the other women just need to get ran through and disposed of. White men aren't going to allow messages like that to flourish on their platforms. That breeds, for other men hearing that, that will breed some form of hatred towards older women or towards single mothers, and resentment towards that. And that is why he got banned. People, it's nice to have something to say. You can. I mean, obviously, it's a free country, but you can't say things and expect just for them to not make any type of an impression on people. That doesn't make any sense. You can't just talk completely out of your butt and just expect everyone to like listen to it the same way they're listening to like a feel good sermon or something. If you're talking out of your tail, you're probably going to make some people pissed. You're probably going to make people want to act violent, or you're probably going to hurt somebody's feelings, get them depressed and get them on pills and stuff. Like, you say what you want, but don't be surprised if there's some results that you didn't expect to come from that. It's just is what it is. The funny thing is, men who are building and operating in their purpose do not struggle with women. This is absolutely true. This is absolutely true. And these types of men also rise to the top. And the thing about men in general is that they know and understand other men. So the men who are actually good, handling their business at the top, not trying to just fulfill their own selfish desires, but actually trying to do things that are going to benefit society as a whole, they recognize degenerate thinking, low vibrational men way quicker than a lot of women can. Because men know how other men operate, and men know that if you have some psycho crazy man at the top, getting amassing like a group or a militia or whatever, they need to be shut down very, very quickly, very, very soon, by any means necessary. And when guys are living in this reality of like thinking that all men think like this, no, they don't. The men you're around think like this, because the men who don't think like this don't want anything to do with you. That's why you'll never really know. That's why you'll never see the difference. That's why you're still staying in this bubble, because the men who can actually like transform your life by having you in their network don't want you around. They know what you're about. They're just going to keep you silent, keep making sure that you're able to work for their companies, and that's about it. But you'll never get invited to have a seat at the table. Sin is literally reporting the news of things that black men actually did or things statistics have proven. What is there to ban? Exactly. That's another thing. The things that women are talking about are reality. They're legitimately happening. They are not a lie. They're not based on our desires and all these other things. They're based on what's really going on. These men, they don't have any like real stats to prove that the things that they're saying resulted in in a good situation. Like, where are the studies that show when men have mistresses and all these other things, the children and the wife and himself are much more happier? Is there a stat for that? Is it? Where is it? Apparently there isn't, because we haven't seen one. And but yet these men are sharing that message all of the time, because not because it's a factual message and it's a realistic one that can produce a happy home, but because it's just what they desire. That's it. It just is sensationalism. It's what they desire. And then they try to, well, one thing I've heard them try to say is that it's a biological thing that men need to have sex with lots of women. And no, they do not. No, they do not. There is nowhere that says that in order for men to be physically, mentally, and emotionally happy, they need to be with a lot of women at a time. It's actually the opposite. Men are so much more lonely, and it's because they don't have any one woman to connect with emotionally. And if you're sleeping with lots of girls all of the time, you're not really emotionally connected to anyone. I don't care what they get on here and say. They can say, oh, it's different for men. We can have sex and be done with it like an hour later and whatever. And that's my point. There's no emotional connection. So that's like you're sleeping with lots of women because there is no emotional connection, and that is what's making you lonely. So it's the research is saying completely the opposite of what men need to do to be happy. They're not saying that happiness comes from fast cars, from hooking up, from paying women to come and sleep with you and having them sign NDAs. It's not even coming from women who are submissive. Like, none of that is even being used in research as like what's going to make men happier, or even you losing weight and being a dress size 6. Now, that's not what's going to feed men's loneliness either and make them happier. It's emotional connection, point blank, period. Purpose, having a passion. Those things are what's going to make men feel happier and useful in society. It's not women getting rid of all their stuff just so men can feel needed in the home. No, that's not it either. Men feel needed when they find something to feel that's a need, and it's not a woman and like her bills and stuff like that. And let me show you guys this video explaining that. Okay, here we go. Which one is it? I think it was this one. It was a little clip from another one of these, men with microphone ones, and men feeling needed, and just that whole conversation about how, men don't feel like they can be with you if you just have your own stuff going on, all of that annoying stuff.
Take care of myself 100%. I'm very ambitious. I got me.
Okay.
You don't have to worry about me being a dependent on you.
Okay.
And then the third one,
masculine. Go ahead. Nurturing
it's
independence.
funny because I get that a lot.
I know. We know.
But my third one would be like, I literally almost called you out your name. So
it's cool. Go ahead. All the women do.
I literally almost called you a bitch.
Go ahead.
So
they call
Go ahead.
bitches, fatties, everything.
All the women do. Go
my
ahead.
third one, I take care of myself 100%. I'm very ambitious. I got me.
Okay.
You don't have to worry about me being a dependent on you.
Okay.
And then the third one,
masculine. Go ahead.
So he really just called her masculine because she says that she has her stuff together and that she's not going to be a dependent and she takes care of herself. So, these are the types of conversations and types of things that men are telling each other about women that they, need to stay away from. Stay away from women who can do for themselves and things like that. But it's like, what if she couldn't do for herself? She'd be homeless and on the streets. So the things that men say, they also indirectly say things as well. So if that is the case, if men are going to get on here and tell each other not to choose women that can take care of themselves and have their own, because now what does she need a man for and all these things, if that is the case, then technically men are also admitting that they want women who cannot take care of themselves. They want women who are helpless, who can't do anything without a man in their life. They can't they can't pay a bill, they can't keep themselves together. And that type of woman, when she is single before she gets her man, would look toe up from the flow up. She wouldn't even be visually attractive. She would have no money to keep herself together. She would have no money to groom herself. She wouldn't have any money for hygiene. She would be like homeless off the streets looking. And no man is even attracted to that. And men are very visual. Men like attractive women, but attractive women, it costs money to keep up with those looks, with her image, with her body, with her hygiene. That costs money. So she does need to make some money. She does need to take care of herself. She does need to have her own place or have a place to stay, like with a roommate, family, or something. She needs to have something. She needs to have things already in place without you. Because in actuality, that's the only way she'll be able to even get your attention, if she is able to take care of herself, which will be shown through her physical appearance. A woman who can't take care of herself, you will see that in her physical appearance as well.
Go ahead. Nurturing independence.
Funny because I get that a lot.
I know. We know.
But my third one would be like, I literally almost called you out your name. So
it's cool. Go ahead. All the women do.
I literally almost called you a bitch.
Go ahead.
So
they call
Go ahead.
Bitches, fatties, everything.
All the women do. Go ahead.
My third one, you take care.
So then he's going to bring up, her singleness, and that's why she's single, because she's masculine, and she's masculine because she takes care of herself and she has her own thing going on. As a single woman in 2022, during the times of inflation, right? She's masculine for actually having her stuff together, and that's why she's single. So these guys are kind of indirectly saying that they don't want women with their stuff together. They don't want women who can take care of themselves. They want women who are helpless, technically women who can't really produce much of anything on her own, and that is what makes you feminine. Never mind having a humble spirit, never mind actually showing up as a feminine woman. Those are other being nurturing and knowing how to rest, like those are feminine qualities, but none of that matters if you are able to take care of yourself. Right? Like there are plenty of successful women who are extremely feminine, who are very humble, who are able to hold a good conversation, who listen very well, and they keep themselves together very, very well, but they're also very successful. They don't need a man's money to survive. And in 2022, that is not a necessity for really any woman, whether you are modern, traditional, whether you're more conservative or more liberal. None of us need to be yoked with a man in a romantic relationship to have our bills paid, to put gas in our car, to get our hair and nails done, to go to the gym, to have a house and have a bank account. We don't need husbands for that anymore. So men are trying to reverse that to being back to like 1950s and just reverse everything and try to say, well, actually, you're going to need me to have these things. It's just not realistic. And men are the most lonely and the most single than they've ever been, because they cannot navigate being with women outside of being like needed for their survival. And that is their problem. And they cannot redefine femininity and define it as like a state of being for a woman to be in this state of constantly needing a man to survive. It just doesn't make any sense. It's actually a recipe for disaster, because the types of women today that need a man to survive and refuse to make any type of money for herself, refuse to have a skill, at least open up her own business, anything, like she literally needs a man to survive. Those, in my like observations, those types of women be the first ones to come and go with these high value guys and take what they got later on down the road. And they take what they got because they don't know how to get for themselves. So they're takers. It just is what it is. Women who can survive without a man is not going to be the first one dedicated to like taking and being a predator and all these things strictly when it comes to dealing with guys. Like usually the women who are able to take care of themselves and want a relationship, they want it based off of genuine reasons for the most part. Can't speak for all women, but for the most part, if you technically don't need a man to survive at all, you have your own stuff, then you're never going to be searching for a man strictly to take what he's got, because you got your own. You've got your own. So what do you need? What do you need another man's stuff for? Right? So it's a lot of double-minded messages within this space. One message is avoid the gold diggers. Then the next message is find a woman who is helpless and can't do for herself. Now, a lot of men are also saying that they don't want a woman bragging about her accomplishments and what she's got going on because that's not feminine. I agree with that, actually. I don't think that as a woman, if you're meeting a guy and getting to know him, you should be flashy about what you got going on. I think you're setting yourself up to get got if you do that and focus on getting to know a man. And he doesn't need to know the type of house you own. He doesn't need to know if you have investments. That's none of his business. You do not need to tell him that. So I agree with that, but I agree because it can be about safety for you and you need to protect what you have going on, and you don't want to attract a man who's out to get you. You don't want to attract a good looking, quote unquote, high quality man on paper, but he has predatory, like he's a swindler. He's a hustler. Like you don't want to attract a guy like that, because they go for the type of woman that will talk about the house that they own and the investments they have and the businesses. So I would keep that stuff to yourself, particularly in the beginning. So the next thing I want to show you guys, what are you guys saying? Art of Aries says, so they really are saying they need helpless women. They want to look like the bigger person. Yes, they are. They are saying that a woman who has it together is there's no point in being with her, because what is she, where can a man fit into her life if she has everything going on? But the gag is, you should have everything going on. As a human being, you should have your stuff in order, single or not. And men being turned off by this is the weirdest thing I've ever seen. Because if you don't have your stuff together, I mean, seriously, like you ain't got no money, you don't have a stable place to wash yourself and keep yourself together, that will physically show when you go places. Like you can tell, I don't want to sound judgmental, but you can tell certain women who don't have it together. They do not look the same as women who do. That's all I'm going to say. Like you can kind of tell that. And so if all women lived by this narrative or this rule or whatever, that women shouldn't have it together and women should be helpless and need a man for her survival, we will be toe up from the flow up, because we're single and don't have a man. And in order for us to get a man, we need to be like helpless and stuff. And then on top of that, the man has other things he needs to take care of and pay for in his life. So he's not going to dedicate the amount of resources to keeping you up and together the way you would have if you had your own stuff in order. These men be cheap. These men don't be wanting to like get your hair and nails done all the time. Like they don't be wanting to do that on top of their own stuff they got going on. She seems like a black man worshiper. Yeah, she probably is. She quite literally probably is a black man worshiper. That's why she's on this podcast. That's why she's believing she needs to explain what she brings to the table or whatever the hell she was talking about before here. Like, that is why she probably is. And then he's telling her that's why you're single, because you're masculine. And it's just like, no. She's single because she's not opening up her options, in my opinion. If you're wondering why men aren't going to college, it's because they're making on YouTube podcasts. Exactly. That is the reason why they're not going to college. And that is the reason why they're not building in real life anyway. And that is going to be a big reason why the social media platforms continue to ban them and shut them down, to cut off their supply of money and these virtual like militias they're having coming after women who really weren't checking for them anyway, right? Like, women were on here and none of them were really checking for men. It's the men who develop these spaces and these podcasts talking about women all day and then claim, oh, this is about male improvement and male empowerment. No, it's not. Talking about single mothers and masculine women has nothing to do with men being better men in society as a whole. So the next thing I wanted to show you guys is this other video. Let me see which one is supposed to come first. Okay, I'll do this one first. So remember the girl that recently went viral because she announced on TikTok, the black girl who announced that she was no longer going to date black men because of colorism and because she believed, you know, because she was a dark-skinned black girl, black men were just much more difficult to date and yada yada. She like went viral for it. A lot of people have been talking about her and talked about her TikTok. I did as well on my last live. So she was also on another podcast herself. She went on another one of these men's podcasts, y'all. And I don't know if she was on here before or after she made that announcement on her TikTok. Which one is it? I think it's this one. I don't know if she went on here before or after she made that announcement on her TikTok. I think she looks really good here. She genuinely is a very pretty girl, honestly. But wait, oh, you guys can't see. Okay. She genuinely is a really, really pretty girl. Okay. And I don't know why she continues to go on here and do this. Like, so once again, I don't know if she went on this podcast before or after she made that announcement on her TikTok that she was only going to date non-black men. But let me play this so that you guys can at least hear what she is saying, because I think she made some pretty good points in the first place.
A lot of black men would date me because I look like the attractive dark skin. As a dark-skinned woman, you only get desired or viewed as attractive if you're like, you know, you have a small nose and big lips and like, you know, like the Ryan Destiny. It's a whole different game in Africa. But in America, like, they don't view like women who look like Leslie Jones, for example, as attractive. Like, we just seen a reporter who basically bashed her for her looks and called her masculine because she has a wide nose. But like, they literally called her masculine, and it's like, she's not actually masculine. She just has Afrocentric features that doesn't fit the European beauty standard. So a lot of black men, they'll, you know, desire me because I'm an experiment to them.
The number one skin product that's sold across the world is skin lightening creams
in countries that have been colonized.
Yeah,
and well, no,
closer to white.
But I'm just saying, it's specifically countries. So you're not gonna go to where you have dark. So Sicilians, they're very dark skinned Italians. They're not bleaching their skin. Yeah. Italy wasn't colonized, so that's why I was making the historical reference. Like, it's places that were colonized.
Part of them, because I have Italian family.
I don't.
But what I'm saying is, I have Italian family. So like, if you were dark, like if you would be like, yo, are you Italian? They'd be like, no, I'm Sicilian. Yeah. And if I say, are you Sicilian? They'd be like, no, I'm Italian.
Yeah, when I was on that dating app, a lot of black men would date me because I look like the attractive as a dark-skinned woman.
Okay, so in this particular clip on this podcast, you know, she's talking about from what I got from it, it was that she was explaining how Black men were also equating masculinity to looks flat out, you know, the nose, the wide noses of certain Black women and things like that. And you know, she's explaining like that doesn't make them masculine. They have African features. So, you know, I don't think the men on here, they know what femininity is. They equate femininity to you being helpless and having European um you know, beauty, what is the word? European qualities about your appearance, and you just being overall white or European adjacent. But anything that is African, anything that is African female, or anything that involves you being able to take care of yourself is masculine, and that is completely false. And you know, a lot of the things that that guy who just got banned, Andrew Tate, would say when he did speak about women and femininity, it would talk a lot about how women look and how much they need a man in order to survive. So that's not that's not the right message. And men who know better obviously know that. They obviously know that femininity is not based on how much you weigh. It's not based on how big your nose is. It's not based on how long your hair is. Of course, there are physical, like phenotypical qualities that come with femininity, but it's not defined by that. You know what I'm saying? Like, there can be feminine women who have short hair. There can be feminine women who wear braids. There's feminine women who, you know, have small lips. Like, I don't know. There's all types of looks that can come on a woman who is feminine. And it's really about who you are as a woman on the inside. And these men are very lonely, obviously. They can't emotionally connect with a woman because they are looking for the wrong things when it comes to women. They have no idea how women really are. They swear they know everything about female nature. They do not. Okay. And I've heard them say that they believe they know about female nature because they just observe what women do and who women respond to the most. And so that is why they have decided to construct a message that involves men just getting muscles and getting rich, because they have seen that those types of men are the types of men that women flock to the most. But they fail to understand that those men and those types of women that flock to men like that, do those relationships last? Do they produce healthy homes? Do they produce, you know, loving families and kind-hearted children? Or do they just give men plenty of options, you know, for sex? Which one is it? Because you can't have both, okay? You can't have a lifestyle as a man where you are living the bachelor life from uh 9 p.m. to midnight, then you sleep, and then you wake up and live the husband father life from 8 to 5. It just doesn't work like that. You need to pick a lifestyle. Okay, not everyone has to get married. Not everyone has to have kids. Actually, if you are a Christian woman, or you were raised in the Christian church at least, the Bible even says not everyone's going to get married. Not because God and the universe or whatever demanded it to be so, but because people are going to just make certain choices to lead them to a life of being single. And for, you know, the ladies who are Christian, Apostle Paul chose a life of singleness. And he says in the Bible that it is better to be single than to be married, because you're able to serve others and serve God and be there for other people. And when you have a family, you're not really able to do those things because you have a family to tend to. You have more responsibilities. You have to take care of other people. So you're not able to do that when you have a family. He only suggests marriage for people who have a burning desire for like a mate or for legacy and things like that. But if you find yourself perfectly fine on your own, you're not out here crazy over none of these men, you know, you're not lusting over none of these men, you could care less. You could, and you love what you do on your own, and you got your stuff together, then living a life of singleness is not a bad thing. You can choose to do that if you genuinely believe that is what you want to do. And a lot of women today are coming out and saying that they are perfectly fine with their jobs, with their businesses, with their little pets, with their nieces and nephews, and calling it a day, and with their girlfriends. They're not trying to date men. They don't want to, because men have made themselves so unattractive from not doing much of anything except opening their mouth and saying all of these unrealistic things that they want out of women in relationships. And it's just not attractive. It's just not possible. And again, it's just not realistic at all. So let me show you guys this other clip, the same one that she did. And so, yeah, I don't know if she did this before or after she made that announcement. But in this clip, where is it? Here we go. No, that's not the right one. Whoops. In this next clip, she actually talks about Black women dating out. So let's transition into that, because I also have another part of this live about women leaving them behind, and I put them in special words, but y'all should know who I mean when I say them. Right? Here it is. Okay.
Seek a woman who's going to mimic their mother.
What's wrong?
You have an example of a single mom who is going to work, coming home, cooking and cleaning. So you think like your partner should be that way. And we know a lot of Black moms are softer on their sons too. So they expect their girlfriends to be the same way. So then when they get a girlfriend, they expect them to be just like their mom, because that's what we normally seek, our parents, right?
What's wrong with that?
What's wrong with that is when they do get with a strong Black woman, a lot of the time they can't handle it. They feel intimidated by it.
You can't be like, oh, I want a woman who's feminine and blah, blah,
exactly.
blah. And still want a woman like your mom.
Exactly.
Because your woman like your mom she didn't have the opportunity to tap into that femininity.
But that's not even being, we're having two separate conversations right now.
We're not.
We're not. We're on the same page. So when the average Black man gets next to a strong Black woman, a lot of the time they feel the need to humble her. They feel like
So I think she explained perfectly the reason why Black women have longer relationships with white men. She's saying that Black men feel the need to humble you. They feel the need to put you down, put you in your place, remind you who you are. They subconsciously look at you like you are their mother. So they expect the type of motherly love from you, versus white men who get with you and they don't feel threatened. You know, I mean, there's plenty of men you can get with, not just white men, but just for, this clip she was talking about, white men don't feel threatened by you. They don't believe they need to put you down. They're solidified in society and have been for generations, beginning of time. So there's no point in them making you feel less than. Okay, so for Black women in particular who are experiencing this type of treatment from Black men, you need to open up your options. So this same girl was the one who uploaded that TikTok that went viral, saying that she's going to date outside of her race. And actually, if you go on her TikTok profile and find that video and go through the comments, there was like plenty of non-Black men saying that they would love to date her, that it's about time, and I want you, how can I be next, and all these things. So the notion that you have to stay and settle for men who think like that, who think they need to humble you and shame you for being who you want to be, absolutely not, especially as a Black woman. It is time for you to let it all go, leave these weirdo guys behind who swear you need to basically be their mother, literally, and give them that motherly love, while they just, give you scraps and really no reciprocation of any type of emotional connection at all. You need to leave that behind. Okay. And what I'm loving about the new studies that are coming out is that women are doing that. Literally. Women are literally doing that. That's why men are so alone, so single. They're all up on these dating apps getting frustrated and upset because they can't keep a woman around for real, and they can't have a real connection with a woman, period. Right. But, also, we all know to keep in mind that if you're going to date out for the first time, or you are finally, keep in mind that there's dust in every color. Okay. I'm not trying to make it seem like there's just no dust in a man who is white, Hispanic, Asian, or whatever. That's not true. But what I am saying is that according to data, you are much less likely to come across it when you date out versus dating within the Black community as a Black woman. Unfortunately, it's just the truth, So she did a perfect explanation, and the guys were just sitting there like, what's wrong with getting the type of love that you would get from your mother? What's wrong with getting that type of love from your woman? So these guys are dedicated to misunderstanding. Okay, they don't want to know the truth, and they don't want to know the truth because they come from a single mother home, so they're conditioned to see the woman as the one who does all of the labor, and they're conditioned to take that as love. They're not used to seeing a man love on a woman the right way because they were not raised in households where that was going on. And you can't genuinely understand something that you've never seen, that you've never experienced, that you've never went through, and that you most likely never will, because we can't change our childhoods. Like, it is what it is. We have to just be dedicated to growing, learning, and changing as adults. But even that is a choice. These men get on these mics and are choosing to not change their way of thinking, and they are getting left behind. So, it is what it is. So I found another video from the 90s on a talk show of a Black woman. This is just a clip, but I really wish I found like the entire show. But it was like a talk show that happened in the 90s of a Black woman talking about why she does not date Black men, and a white woman saying why she does date Black men. And it was a very interesting clip. I really wish I would have seen the whole entire show of this, but the comments, a lot of the women were saying that this woman from the 90s was definitely ahead of her time, and I 100% agree. She really was ahead of her time, for real. But this divested conversation and dating out and Black women being fed up, we should know it was nothing new, but hold on.
Date men because, in her words, they're cheap, and they're always making excuses for why they can't succeed. Melody also says, I think I'd rather stick pins in my eyes than date a Black man. Well, this is Alice. Flip side, she says she's never dated a white man, not the least bit attracted to them.
I think they're cheap. They call you up on the phone. Even if I see like a cute Black guy, I give him my phone number. He calls me and he just wants to talk. He talks, never say, let's go out or let's do this. It's just talk till my face is blue. I'm like, I don't want to talk. I could be doing something else. Then if they do want to take you out, if you go out, it's barbecues or something tacky.
A Black man, he's got that, I like his attitude. I can get it if I want it. I'm going to get it if I want it. And he goes and gets it. And white men don't do that.
That attitude is not going to pay one bit of rent.
Oh, I can pay. But I can pay my own bills. I got a job.
I do too, but
I'll pay my own.
What do they tell you about Black women?
They say that they're greedy, that sort of like her, how she is.
I'm not greedy. I work 6 days a week. I have my own business. Okay?
Right. They want.
I just have a higher standard than what they're willing to give. When they get to the high level, they get a white woman. All I have are the scraps. I don't want them.
Don't date Black men because, in her words, they're cheap, and they're always making excuses for why.
Okay, so this aired back in 1994, I believe. And Dang, I kind of wish that talk shows were like still around like this, because geez, I just wish, I mean, there's just so many topics that could be covered, but I guess now today it's podcasts. But this was back in 94, and this white woman literally said that she doesn't need a man to pay for anything. She has her own bill, she can do her own thing. And she sat there and told the black woman that she's greedy and things like that. And the black woman's like, I'm not greedy, I have my own, but I don't want to talk. So it seemed to me like the black woman was interested in having a man to have an emotional connection with, to have experiences with, to have a life with. And then not only that, but having it with a man who was productive in society and was willing to be, it seemed like she would have wanted a more traditional type of man who's about family and things like that. And the white woman she didn't say any of those things. I mean, she was kind of, I don't want to say she was speaking the opposite, but she was, emphasizing how she has her own. So she doesn't need the black man to provide for her, which is obviously like a more of a 50-50, or just not traditional, and a man not really investing in the relationship in any real way. And she didn't even say anything about emotional connection either. She just brought up the attitude that black men have and how they carry themselves. And the black woman was like, none of that is going to pay the bills. None of that is going to take care of business. The arrogance, the thinking he's all of that. But yet he don't have no money. Like, that's not going to pay the bills. And so this black woman, yes, she put it out there. Like, she said it flat out and straight up. No type of remorse in her words. And it's a shame. It's a shame that white woman was like not really in agreement with her. I don't understand it. And that is kind of like the black male worshiping culture. It's like nothing that he does is wrong. It's all about keeping him feeling good, and he makes me feel good, and that's all that matters. But that can't be all that matters. There's responsibilities and things in life that need to be taken care of. And how are you going to have that stuff taken care of with a man who can't do anything else but make you feel good? Right? And it's not just the white woman. There's plenty of black women that think like this too. The black man worshiping culture is full of black women that think like this. Full of them. They would rather, I was watching a live, I think it was the other day, on a content creator, black woman on here. Sometimes I watch her because sometimes she makes good points, but she'd be on some pro black stuff and I can't begin with that. But other points she makes about black women solely on black women things, she makes good points on that stuff. But when she be on that pro black stuff, I'd be like, no. Anyway, she was talking about how, she could never get with a white man, of course. And she believed, if white men are going extinct and white people in general are going extinct, she's not going to help pass on the white man's legacy. And she, is only for black men and all this stuff. And it's just like, when you admit that basically you are up for grabs, like when you basically admit that you do not need to be competed for, because that's what that is. When you tell a group of men, I'm all yours, there's no competition, there's no nothing, I'm just here when you're ready for me, come and take me. When you have that, like, when you put out that message, you open yourself up to men mistreating you. Unfortunately, men don't tend to value and respect something that came very, very easy to them, something that was readily available to them, something that they didn't have to, work hard to get and or keep. Right? And that is like the prime that is like the prime reason why, right there, why a lot of men don't care to change their perspective. Not white men, black men don't care to change their perspective, don't care to evolve in their relationships with women, because they know you're always going to be there. They know that you're not going anywhere. They don't believe it. They know that you don't want to be with a white man, an Asian man, an Hispanic man. You know, you can only picture the BBC. So what do I need to change for you for? I don't need to compete for you. I don't got to do nothing. You're going to be ready. You're going to accept me as is. So you better just be lucky that I'm here. And the last black man that I dated had that exact mentality towards me. He wanted to say whatever and do whatever because he really believed that he was the cream of the crop and that I was not going to find anyone else. So I better just take what I'm getting. And I dropped his tail like a hot potato and had me a whole white man in a whole relationship with a white man who owned a house, who had a stable job and career 2 weeks later. Okay. So, you know, to be honest, for the black men who do not want to change their perspective, they will just die out. They will just be alone and die out because no woman, and I believe even the black male worshiping woman is going to deal with that long term. She will get tired of it because we all have our breaking points, and it's all cute when they're single, they're on here single, ready to get married and ain't got no kids. And it's a whole nother story once they finally get that ring after forever of waiting for it, when they finally get that ring from him, sometimes if they even do, right? Because we know the marriage rate for black men currently is 30%. So if they get lucky enough to get one, it's just a matter of time for a lot of them when they're over it. They're over the treatment. They're over, being treated like they can't get anyone else and go anywhere else. It's just a matter of time before those girls come crawling on over to BWE and talking about how they're ready to finally open up their options at 45 after being done wrong by Jerome, after marching for Jerome and his brothers for the past 2 decades to finally get a ring or end up with babies and stuff like that. It happens, guys. It happens. And respectfully, there are some black women here in BWE that are older that have said that they messed with black men their whole life, got them nowhere, and they're finally starting to date out, and they're warning younger sisters, don't do it. Don't fall for it. It happens. It sucks. It's very unfortunate, and it's sad. I wouldn't wish that on any woman, but it is a reality. They have no reason to change and be better because they're wanted just for feeling good and for attitude and because they carry the black skin. And if you let a man know that it takes anything but hard work to keep you, he's not going to change. He's not going to put in hard work for you. He will take advantage of you and just overall be disrespectful. And he will feel entitled to disrespect you because he believes you can't go nowhere else anyway. So what you gonna do about it? Like that's their mentality. My sister and 3 cousins all married out too. We're the only ones in the family that never divorced, all married in the 90s. Yeah, exactly. They know that their maleness and blackness is enough from black women, and we will endure the abuse and suffering. It's very sad and unfortunate. This is very much so the truth. Because they have that black skin, and some of them, not all of them, the BBC, they don't want to change. But I'll tell you one thing, I met some, no, never mind. I got to save that for the late night live. You got to save that for the late night live. But if you don't give these men anything to compete for and you overly explain how you never want to date out, black men are going to look at you like, okay, so then you're just for the taking and I don't want you. And if I do have you, if I do have you, I'm not going to treat you right. He's not going to appreciate you. He says not all have the BBC, I promise you. Okay. Look, we need to have a late night live. I've been saying that. We will have a late night after dark live girl chat to get really raw and real about what's really going on out here. Okay? Because there have been some lies told about other men when they get passionate and intimacy with other men, with other non-Black men. And I'm telling you, there's a lot of lies that have been told. Okay? Black men spend hundreds of years lying to Black women. Other men do really like us and would be good to Black women. Yes. Yes, this is a lie that has been told. Other races of men love Black women, but they don't approach Black women a lot because they're under the impression that Black women don't like them. And I'm telling you, some of them, I don't blame them because they think that, that all Black women don't want non-Black men, that all Black women they only want to date Black men all the time. That's why I'm saying, like, if you're dating out for the first time and you or at least want to expand your pool to include more non-Black men, I think online dating is a great place to start because it's a perfect place for, men to express interest by sending you a like or a swipe right or whatever without like the intimidation of kind of like approaching you, especially if they've never dated like a Black woman before. There's a lot of men that haven't. And that's understandable because majority of Black women don't date out. So if you're dating, you'll meet a lot of non-Black men where they'll tell you, I've never been on a date with a Black woman before. Not because he wasn't attracted, but because majority of Black women don't date other races of men. I've heard that actually a lot. My husband is 6'5" and we're at 17 shooting. Yes, girl. Okay. You guys, we have been lied to about these other men. Okay. We have been lied to. Some of these men out here, look, we're going to have a late night live. We're going to talk about it because, yeah, like, I was told growing up that these other men don't have it going on like the BBC, but I don't know about that. I don't know about that one. We didn't realize other men might be interested in us. No, we didn't. We didn't realize it, and other women weren't open to it. Like the girl I was just telling y'all about, she said she already had it in her mind that she would never date a non-Black man. But later on, growing up, she knew it was solidified. And, we just need to have a conversation about maybe being with someone, being with a non-Black man for the first time and certain things that might happen. Because I've seen a lot of other like videos of Black women who are dating out and they're dating a non-Black man and she is his first Black woman. And so he says all these kind of crazy things. So we need to have a conversation about that as well. About you've opened up your options, you're dating, maybe he's not your only white guy that you're talking to or Asian guy, but you are his only Black woman. You are his first Black woman. And, some misunderstandings, some things can be said that maybe he didn't intentionally say to hurt you or to be offensive, but everything is new to him. And he's just being honest. He's just, trying to navigate it. He may say some things that are kind of like, I don't know about all that. But, it's his first time being with someone outside of his culture or outside of a majority culture. And we need to have a conversation about that. I had a friend who was married to different Black men and told me her best sex was with a short redheaded white man. Yeah, we need to talk about. We need to have a late night live. I have some things to say. I feel like we all have things that we need to say about this because, child, like one thing I'll say for now is that I have experienced non-Black men being very, very passionate, romantic, very, very passionate, romantic lovers. Okay. And it is, wow, very, very nice. And I don't just mean in the bedroom either. I mean, just in general, very romantic. I mean, of course, in the bedroom too, you know, but we'll save that for the late night live. Art of Aries says, every time you are successful in one area, these males will think you are competing when you just want to live. Oh my gosh. And you just reminded me of another clip I saw that explains, that really showed that, like this comment right here in real time. And child, it was on that annoying Fake and Fraud Fresh and Fit podcast where they were arguing with like this like Mexican girl or whatever. Wait, am I okay? I'm sure. Okay, right, and so the girl was going back and forth. I don't want to say arguing, but they were going back and forth. And she was telling him that she has what she has, not because she's trying to be the man, but because she's just trying to live her life, because she has things she's passionate about, things that she enjoys doing, and she's monetizing, making money off of it. And because of that, she's doing very well. And it has nothing to do with her trying to outshine a man at all. So let me see here. I wouldn't say it's like a long clip, but I just want to play a little bit of it because and this is like where the whole, they swear they know female nature, but no, the heck they don't. They really don't, because she was being very straightforward in her answers to him. This girl on one of their episodes, it came across, I don't watch them, but it was on my Facebook feed. Some guy posted it and I was really annoyed because this guy that we're Facebook friends on like my personal Facebook, and he's kind of fine, but he's like this biracial light-skinned man. But once he posted this, I was like, oh God, you listen to them? Oh, it was disappointing. He was like kind of like my Facebook crush. We didn't really talk or whatever. But let me just show you guys this really quick, because this is going to tie into just how they swear they get women, but they really don't. They also really do believe that so many women are out to get them. I'm just putting up this picture so that like I don't get like flagged. Okay. All right.
Why are men so intimidated by the idea of coming home to a independent woman?
We're not intimidated. It's
I
a headache.
would think that an independent woman, like independence, is an attractive quality.
No.
How would you define independence?
I mean, in simple terms, a woman who doesn't need a man but wants a man and wants to be also. I mean, I can provide in my own ways, and the man will provide in his own ways. However that dynamic works, it'll work.
Okay, so you said a woman who doesn't need a man but wants a man.
Yeah.
So like, what do you mean by like? I'm trying to understand what do you mean by not?
I mean, I'm not a child. I don't need a parent. You know, I want to be in a partnership. I want somebody who will, if I'm younger than him, for example, I want him to strive to raise me to his level. Just like I feel like a top tier men are drawn to people who they want to be their peers eventually. They like lifting people up, and I think that in a relationship it should be the same.
Well, I think for me, I think.
So y'all heard what she said. So I think she gave a good definition of what it means to be independent. I don't know if I agree with her definition completely, because she was saying like that you don't need, you know, a man, you don't need anyone to take care of. Well, it is true. Independent means you're not a dependent. You don't need anyone to take care of you. And I think what she said pretty much was just very valid. Like she said that men are attracted to women who in general, you know, can keep themselves together, and they want to lift up their woman, and that is a healthy relationship. Like you want someone who can lift you up, who can encourage you, who notices that you do have what's it called, like talents and passions and purpose, and a man who does encourage you in a way to pursue them. And yes, this also means if you're traditional. Just because you're traditional and you stay home doesn't mean you don't have any types of skills or hobbies or any type of interest that your husband can't still support you in and uplift you, lifts you up in those things. Like there's plenty of women who I know that stay home and have a passion, like something that they're working on, monetizing off of, and they still take care of the household and things like that. But they have something that they like and enjoy doing, and their man will still support them in it. So he'll invest in her like at-home business, or if she needs any type of materials, he'll also provide for that as well. And that's okay to do.
You're viewing it like as a woman. I think it's hard to view it as a man. I think it's a reality thing, because there's certain things that you value that men wouldn't value. So for example, if let's say you made $200,000 a year, right? And your man made $50,000 a year, you would eventually want him to get there. Is that fair to say, ladies?
Absolutely.
And if he was lazy and he didn't want to get there, he wanted to stay at 50,000, would that be a turnoff? If he didn't want to get better?
Yeah, it's not about laziness. Here's another example. If I wanted to study something and I knew that I wouldn't be able to work for the next 8 years, medical school, for example, then if my man is willing to support me, I want him to eventually be happy with my success.
Yeah. So let me finish my example, and I want to answer your question. So the point is that you guys want a man to get on your level. So guys, if a woman was making $50,000 and you're making $200,000, do you want it to make $200,000? Is that a priority for you guys?
No,
not a priority. So you see, guys, they're not.
So he's saying, you know, it's not a priority for guys to want you to make as much money as them. But what she is saying is that there are men who will still uplift and encourage their woman to pursue her passions, whether she continues to make the 50K forever or she somehow gets up to 200, 300, even more than him. There's plenty of women who that is the situation, and it's not a threat to the man because he loves her for her. He doesn't love her because she makes less than him. He doesn't love her because, you know, she's skinny and pretty and doesn't talk back. That's not that's not why good men get married to women. Healthy relationships, like it's healthy and it's thriving because of reasons that don't have to do with your bank account or with your ability to maintain the perfect dress size.
They don't view it that way. They you gotta think about it. Men are conditioned to protect and provide for thousands of years. So men are not looking for a teammate who can do what they do. You know, it's like the best way I can break it down.
But it's not about doing. Sorry for interrupting you. Yeah. I apologize. But it's not about doing what they do. It's about doing me and being supported and
so here's
supported emotionally. And
here's a problem: a man with options can choose, and unfortunately.
So he doesn't even really address anything that she's saying. Because she literally is saying, like, it's not about me trying to overpower you and trying to do more than you. It's just about us supporting and loving on each other. And and that's it. And that is like that's not something he doesn't understand. Now, if it's okay for, I guess, a man to say that he would prefer his woman to put a lot of emphasis on the home to the point where she probably won't have the time to really have a passion project that will make her $200,000 per year. If you're really involved in your home, that I would say for a woman to do all of that, that is pretty difficult. Indiana mom says 3 kids, a daughter-in-law, grandbaby, husband, 2 guinea pigs, 2 cats. I have to hide in the bathroom. Yeah, I mean, it's not always very possible to like have all of this going on, and then on top of that, like make 300,000 a year on top of your business project, just because you're taking care of your family. But if you are able to do it, a good man's not going to shame his woman. A good man's not going to shame his woman for making it all happen. Like what man is going to do that except like an insecure one? Art of Aries says men are looking for a dependent they can screw. They like dependence, but these guys don't like children. A child is a dependent. Yes, they want dependents as wives. They want helpless women as wives. They want to father their woman. I think a lot of these men I don't want to say they need kids, because the way they talk, and it doesn't seem like they'd make the best fathers, but it's almost like that type of situation needs to happen for them to really live out and fulfill these kinds of desires.
You're the worst option. No disrespect. No disrespect. Because here's the reality. There's 2 guys. There's a guy that makes $500,000. All things are equal. They're both handsome. They're both tall. They're both successful in their own sense, right? One is a successful teacher making $50,000. One is a successful doctor making $500,000. Which one is more attractive?
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I blinked out a second ago.
Okay, cool. So there's two guys, and everything is equal. Okay.
Thank you.
One of them makes $50,000. One of them makes $500,000. Which one is more attractive? Everything is equal.
It's okay to say the truth.
And that is why, yes, I'm going to leave this live up. But that is why a lot of men can't maintain their relationships, because they're looking at the wrong things when it comes to a woman that makes her valuable. Like, we all have the visual thing. Okay. We all need someone that we're attracted to, or, to start that type of relationships, we need to have an attraction. So I get that part, because women want to be attracted to the man they're going to be dating as well. But number 2, it shouldn't be a man shouldn't find out how much you make and then solely think, oh, she makes only $50K. That's perfect for me. I'm going to wife her up. Like, that is not a man who is suitable for a long-term relationship. If that is like the next factor that you're thinking about to qualify this woman to have in your life in the most intimate way possible, that is probably got to be the last thing. One of the last things you think about is this woman's income. You really got to look at the character of a person on the inside and put that to the forefront. Like, after the attraction stuff is out the way, then you need to be vetting for like character, morals, values. I would even say like childhood experiences, like where is this person from? What are the lessons that they've learned in life? Things like that. Like, I don't think, particularly for a man, to be worried about a woman's income or lack thereof, because unless he's trying to utilize it in some kind of a way, or just whatever, unless he's trying to do something with it, it should not matter. It shouldn't matter if you're making more or less than him, if he's genuinely looking for a wife and mother of his children. It shouldn't matter. It has nothing to do with anything. Once again, there's plenty of women who make a lot of money and are married and are moms. Actually, according to stats, women who are more educated have a higher chance of getting married than women who just have like a college or a high school diploma, I mean. So it just doesn't matter. So he's asking these questions to women, trying to make women feel like they messed up from having their own income, because if it's too much, you just put yourself out the running for a man who makes a lot of money too. But the thing is that the men who are married, who have a lot of money, who have loving homes and family, I guarantee you a woman's income was never like a factor in his vetting process for his wife.
I know.
It's okay.
Listen.
The feminism in her won't allow it.
No. I'll answer honestly.
I want an equal partner.
I'm just as mesmerized by fancy, shiny things as any other person is. I find that sometimes men who have a lot become entitled.
Listen. I just said everything was equal.
Okay, then yeah, for sure the man who has more because my life would be better.
Because you value that more. So what you got to understand is women who think independence, you like that in men.
Yeah.
A man being independent, a man not needing you, a man to be able to take care of his stuff on his own. That's what you value in men. Men don't want that in women. Because the reality of the matter is.
So the funny thing is, if you really listen to her, she didn't directly say that men want an independent woman. She said that men want women that they can support, uplift, and have something they're passionate about. And usually that is in a woman who does have her own, because she most likely has income, and she has income because she's working towards something, and she's working towards something because she's probably good at it. She likes it. It's maybe something she's passionate about or going to utilize in her future towards what she's passionate about in some kind of way. Like something is mixed into it. So she never really even said that men want independent women. She said that good men are going to want to have a partner that they can support and uplift. Really, you guys support and uplift each other. And that, in my opinion, that is a very healthy relationship. Whether you want to do a modern relationship or a traditional relationship, supporting each other is never going to be something that's unhealthy. And independence is not something that women are out here saying men should look for. But a woman who's passionate about something and is good at something, absolutely, lots of men say so themselves, that that's something that they look for. They want to know what you're interested in. They want to know, what are you passionate about? Like, what do you stand on? So these males with mics and these platforms where they're telling guys to not worry about what women are passionate in, who cares about that? Like, they are choosing they're going to be the first ones to get got if they get married. That's just what it is.
When a woman is really turned on by a man, when a woman is really in love with a man, when she really respects him, she becomes utterly dependent upon him because she does not want him to leave.
So here's what I don't like. My biggest fear is to lose my independence and to rely on somebody else.
And know where that comes from? Where does that come from?
I don't know. I mean, I've been independent since I was 18, and I think it's a very important thing to me.
I know, but where does that fear come from?
I don't know. I don't want to rely on anyone. I wasn't brought up to rely on anyone, and I don't think
exactly that came. So what happened in childhood? Either your experience showed you, or somebody communicated that to you. Because you're talking about, I have a fear. You can't live your life according to fear. Imagine me saying, I have a fear of crashing on a plane. I can never get on the plane.
Damn.
So your whole relationship movement is based upon a fear. That's unhealthy. And so what I've noticed is a lot of women, when they move in a relationship, is based out of fear. You can't live your life based upon fear.
I think it's unhealthy to put yourself in situations where you could potentially be left with nothing.
But that's the mindset.
That's the fear.
You see how you're living your life? You're living your life worst case scenario thinking. Yeah. Imagine me saying, I don't want to start a business because if I open a business, I can lose all my money.
So he's trying to explain to her that she should not be thinking about what's the worst thing to happen when getting with a man. And this is why males with mics are wasting their time talking about this. The thing about this entire conversation in general, and just this type of stuff, when men are trying to explain things to women and try to, I don't know, mansplain how we feel, is the thing is that they are not women. These men will never understand what it feels like to be a woman who's on your own, out in the world, and you have to watch your back. like all the time. These men will never understand what it's like to experience vulnerability as a woman and being in vulnerable, risky situations as a woman. They will never understand that. So them telling women, "Oh, don't even worry about it. Who cares? You're living off of fear. Just jump off the cliff. You'll survive." Like, what? Women are like, "Are you insane? Like, do you not understand that I'm a woman, and most likely in domestic situations and situations that involve homicides or whatever, the woman is the one who's most likely to get got? And you want me to just willy-nilly get with a guy without having to really think about those things like that because you believe that it's getting in the way of me being this submissive, pretty wife to a man who's going to be the number one person to hurt me in the event that I do get hurt." So instead of men focusing on how they can prove themselves to be safe spaces for women and reliable to have, like, security, instead of having conversations amongst men for that, on how to create safe environments for women and children, instead they want to talk to women and convince women out of your survival mode, out of your protective mode, to give them free range to just do and treat you however, and you accept it, you fall for it, you go for it, and you get got. Basically go to women and try to convince them to let their guards down to men that they don't even know. That is what sounds like a better idea to them than to instead have conversations with men, amongst all men, on how to just have safer environments for women and children. That's what's getting like that's what's getting me, is he's trying to convince her to let her guards down and let it all hang out with the guy that you meet, just because he has a good career, just because he has income, just because he has options. But instead he can have a panel full of men and discuss how they can just have safe environments for women and children in the first place.
Money, because that's a risk of starting a business. You can put all your time, energy, effort, and money and resources into a business and lose it all. So what happens is a lot of women have seen, either from divorces in their family, either from their mom whining and complaining, or they've seen a woman being in an unhealthy situation, and now their fear is the worst case possible scenario.
Here's another worst case possible scenario.
But do you not see how living like that is a problem?
I do understand. I completely agree, but I do think that there's a place for responsibility. And women in relationships, because there is a power dynamic, oftentimes can be put in situations where they can't get out.
So here's the problem. You said oftentimes. That is your personal experience.
It's not my personal experience. All of my relationships have ended amicably, and I respect all of my exes. I've never been abused, thank God. Mm-hmm. I've never had any negative situation like that where I relied on someone. Never.
So let me tell you why this is your personal experience. Because when it comes to divorce, if you can look it up right now, we have all the data.
Did y'all just hear what he said? Yes, T, he's trying to spin it around. She literally just said, this has not been my personal experience. I've actually had positive relationships with men for the most part that ended pretty amicably. And then he's going to be like, no, let me tell you why this is your personal experience. Like, what? How are you going to tell someone what they think is their personal experience when they're telling you, this is not my personal experience. This is what I have observed. This is what I have, witnessed, and like friends of a friend who went through this. So I keep this in mind when I navigate through these situations, but I haven't personally went through this. And that is actually a very wise and smart thing to do. A wise person, learn from other people's mistakes, tends to learn from other situations that went bad, so that you watch and observe that and you know what not to do. I mean, obviously you share empathy and sympathy for the person who went through it, but you also take that as a lesson learned for yourself as well. That's like a very wise thing to do for a person navigating through life. And it is never smart as a woman that you just let your guard down, not because a man has actually proved himself to you, but because he basically says so. Like, that's basically what's going on in this panel. These men are just saying that you should let your guard down because of the income, the options, and all these other things, but they're not really doing anything to prove that a woman should let her guard down. And by the way, that also would mean, that's a sign of trust when you let your guard down around somebody. And trust takes time to build. You don't just gain somebody's trust after like a first date. That's just not realistic for anybody. For anyone. If that was the case, men would leave their wallets out at random places. We would leave our purses out. If we just walked around with no fear, no caution, no second thoughts about anything, we would just let it all hang out and just whatever. Even if you're in a 5-star restaurant where people who eat in there probably got money, you're still not going to leave your purse out and walk off to the bathroom. Right? Even if you're at an upscale bar in a high-rise building, you're still not going to leave your drink unattended and walk off and come back to it. Just because someone has the glitter and the gold and the lifestyle doesn't mean they're incapable of doing the most. Like, they want to assure you, oh, we have these careers and we have this money. We're harmless. Like, you don't need to have your guard up around us. And it's just like, sir, yes, I do. That's great that you accomplished these things. Congratulations, but I don't know you. Calm down. And this is what happens with these educated lames who pretty much they didn't get in any trouble, they didn't go to jail, they don't have baby mamas everywhere or whatever, and now they grew up to have these successful careers, but now they think the world owes them something. Like, no, sir, the world doesn't owe you something if you stayed clean throughout your childhood, did the most up in the penitentiary. You don't get owed anything for doing what you're supposed to do. Especially when you do what you're supposed to do. You're not supposed to be out here committing crimes and having a bunch of women pregnant and struggling because you don't want to marry them and all this crap. Like, you're not supposed to, you don't get a prize for that. These basic men who did what they're supposed to do as productive citizens in society, who went to school and got these great jobs and these careers, they now want to be rewarded with something. And it's just like, you don't get rewarded, particularly not with free range access to all the women in the world, just because of you doing something productive. You're supposed to do that. You still need to build relationships with, meaningful relationships with a woman. If that's like what you're saying you want, these men are on here saying they want wives and traditional wives and stuff. That's a relationship. You have to build that.
Data. He becomes utterly dependent upon him because she does not want him to leave.
So here's what I don't like. My biggest fear is to lose.
Talking about, I have a fear mindset.
That's the fear.
You see how you're
responsibility. And women in relationships, because there is a power dynamic, oftentimes can be put in situations where they can't get out.
So here's a problem. You said oftentimes. That is your personal experience.
It's not my personal experience. All of my relationships have ended amicably, and I respect all of my exes. I've never been abused, thank God. Mm-hmm. I've never had any negative situation like that where I relied on someone. Never.
So let me tell you why this is your personal experience. Because when it comes to divorce, if you can look it up right now, we have all the data. Women divorce men at higher rates than men divorce women. 70 to 80% of divorces are initiated by women. We have Google right now. We can go ahead and pull it up. Mm-hmm. So the reality of women being left by men is a misnomer. It is feminine mythology.
I'm not talking about. My concern is not being left by a man. My concern is jumping head on into a relationship where I'm feeling like I'm being supported and helped, eventually losing my independence because I'm relying on him. I don't need to work if somebody's paying my rent.
What does that mean?
So I'm explaining. Wait, I lost my train of thought. What did you say a second ago?
how does he not understand that? He's like, what does that mean to eventually lose your independence because you're so dependent on your husband? What does that mean? That means that not only does she have to set herself up to possibly get financially abused, but that could also mean that she loses herself within that marriage, right? That she no longer, there's pieces of herself that are not even in a marriage. You can experience this in a regular old relationship where you get into a relationship and it's so like hot and heavy and it's just so much that you literally lose, like quote unquote, lose parts of yourself. As in like things that you enjoyed doing before on your own, you stopped doing it once you got with this person, like things that genuinely made you, right? That is also a fear of a lot of women getting into intense relationships where the men are not really focused on the woman's per se. He's so focused on what you can do for him and the roles and all that stuff that there's really no time to develop the connection. There's really no time to appreciate, love, and support each other because everything is one big role. Everything is one big this. And you know what? In a marriage, I've never been married. I'm not married, but I know that in a marriage you have other things that come up, responsibilities, kids, and things like that. But that's why in the dating stage, you spend your time building that trust, that love, that support, that foundation, so that when you do take on other responsibilities throughout life together as husband and wife, you have your foundation laid. And so these men want to these men want to rush through the foundation building process. Want you to trust them like they're a husband and amazing father on day one, and just trust that they'll never go anywhere and that they'll be amazing to you because they built up this career and because they could have any other girl that they wanted, but yet they chose you. So you should trust that you're who he really wants. And from then on, you just fulfill your role. But that's not a real relationship. And women don't navigate like that. Okay, women are emotional beings. Men need respect and like submission, but women need love and like honor and feeling made to feel by our men like we're like the only girl in the world that is like so important to him. Like those are typically feelings that women really love and desire from their men in relationships. But men cannot get on here and say that is not something that's important. It's the role, and you'll be dependent on me. I'll provide all your needs and blah blah blah, and that's all that should matter to you. Like men can't get on these podcasts and try to convince women what should matter to them. Try to convince women what they shouldn't be afraid of. That's not up to men to decide. If this girl is telling you that her fear, and this is a fear of a lot of women, is getting so dependent on a man that she sets herself up to be abused, taken advantage of, or she simply loses herself. This is a very common fear with so many different types of women all over the place. It is a fear, and it's really just a fear of lack of like security. Every woman fears lacking security, lacking that support to the point where it's like she's like in danger. All right. Like that is like a common fear. And if you tell a man that and he tries to respond by convincing you out of that, like, no, you're not really scared of that. No, that's stupid. You shouldn't be afraid of that. Men can't do that. All right. A lot of these males with mics they just want to convince women out of their own natural nature because they just don't like it. And unfortunately, that is, well, I'm not going to say unfortunate. Well, unfortunately for them, they can't do anything to change that.
What I said is that women are not leaving men. Your fear, you literally said the fear.
Oh, okay. I remember what I was talking about. Okay. My fear isn't that I won't be able my fear isn't that my man will leave me. My fear is that I won't be able to leave because I'll be put in a situation where I can't leave.
Okay. So that fear is based upon a worst case scenario. You're living your life on a worst case scenario. If you take that energy into business, you'll never be successful.
But
if you
relationships...
let me finish. If you take that energy into finances, you'll never have any money. If you take that energy into friendship, you'll never have any friends. Mm-hmm. So what happens is that if you're living your life based upon a scenario that a fearful thing can happen, that's on you. But the wise thing to be is to be like, okay, that's a possibility. So how can I, as a woman, find the right kind of man who will support me, help me not make that happen? There's no way possible you're going to find a guy where 100% of the time he will never do anything wrong.
So
Life
may I
is a
respond?
risk. Go ahead.
Thank you so much.
Ask questions. What does it mean? What does it mean that things can get dangerous? What does it mean that you'll lose your independence? Like, this woman is literally explaining the very real realities and fears of like countless of other women around the world. And he's all like, what does that mean? What, I don't understand. Why do you think this way? Like, this is how women think and look at the world. Like, and this is another reason why women shouldn't be going on these in general. But this is like one good reason why, is that you will never be able to explain the female nature to a man. They don't get it. They don't get it. They never will understand what it means to be the vulnerable being in the world and going out trying to navigate through it as the most vulnerable being. They don't understand it. They will tell you it's all in your head. You need to just stop thinking that someone's out to get you, when majority of the time when somebody gets got, it is women that people are out to get. Very real reality of that. And these men don't get it. They don't understand. So not only just don't go on them at all, but if you need another reason to go on, don't go on, or another reason to not go on, do not go on trying to explain the everyday fears that women have towards men. These men will look at you and think, that's stupid. It's all in your head. They want to convince you out of your walls, out of your panties, and they will tell you any type of very real and legitimate reservation that you have. It's all in your head and you're crazy. Also that they can get extremely easy and always ready and available access to you. Okay, she's being very direct and straightforward. She is saying, my fear is losing my financial independence and being financially abused. My fear is being financially abused by a man in a relationship, which is something that quite literally happens very, very often by women who are utterly dependent on a husband and don't have any skill of their own. They don't have no degree, they don't have no property, they don't have no investments, they don't have anything. They do set themselves up to be taken advantage of in the event that, the man wants to just wake up and go bonkers. I don't know. He was probably a good man in the beginning and then he went bonkers. Like, those stories happen all the damn time, where you marry the man and he was amazing in the first 5 years. And then all of a sudden he just, you just went crazy. I don't know. He started drinking all the time and he just went crazy or whatever. Like, that happens all the freaking time. And she is literally telling him, that's my fear. Relationships can turn dangerous because relationships are incredibly intimate. Relationships ruin people's lives. And he's over here literally asking her, what does that mean? Relationships are dangerous. It's really giving that these men probably just aren't very experienced in relationships themselves anyway, because he sounds very green asking her, what do you mean relationships can turn dangerous? Like, if you've been in relationships before, or you've witnessed one, like you maybe came from a 2-parent home, or you come from like a divorced family or something like that, and you've just witnessed a lot of relationships and the dynamics of that, you would understand when people say relationships can turn dangerous. Like, there's no way you're going to be able to say, what does that mean? Like, relationships can be dangerous. What? Oh my God, I thought they were so happy all of the time. Like, no, like he sounds very green asking these questions. Like, what do you mean? Like, you ain't never seen somebody break up. You ain't never seen someone go through a divorce and slash tires and stuff like that, and hold a gun to their head. Oh, you better not leave me, or I'm gonna kill myself. Like, you ain't never heard about that stuff before. Yes, relationships can turn dangerous
at a certain point. You know what's very fascinating about this is what you just shared. What do you mean by dangerous? You mean domestic violence?
Also.
Okay, so let's talk about domestic violence. You know what's fascinating? Do you know domestic violence in lesbian couples are the highest of all couples?
I mean, whether it's lesbians or straights or anything, it doesn't matter.
Yeah,
Being in a relationship where you're relying 100% where you're codependent is unhealthy, in my opinion.
Codependent.
Respectfully.
See, this is what happens when you create straw mans. When you make an extreme. So on one end of the extreme is codependency, where I have nothing without you. Another end of the extreme is where you're probably at, independency. I am without you. But the healthy medium is interdependency, is that I could exist without you, but I not only want you, but I need you.
So can I say?
Let me finish. Because I'm be honest with you, right now, the energy that you're on is masculine energy.
Oh God, no.
No, why? Because you're
Oh God, here we go. Now all of a sudden she's masculine. She went from saying, like, talking about her fears and her viewpoints on relationships to now all of a sudden she's masculine. And let's review, like, she is masculine because she does not want to be codependent on a man. That is like the conclusion you can get from this conversation so far on what that guy is trying to get her to understand. He's trying to get her to understand that you can be utterly dependent on your man. And if you are opposed to that, you are masculine. If you want to have your own stuff, you are masculine. Just like the other clip I played earlier, where the girl says that she takes care of herself. She's not a dependent. She has her own stuff together. She takes care of herself down to her rent, down to her hygiene, down to her grooming, down to her job and her skills and her passions. And that man also called her masculine. And so here's this woman basically saying the same, like, you know, she wants to still have her own and still have passions and things that she's doing, that she's making money off of. And here he go calling her masculine. Basically, you are masculine if you do not want to give up your passions for your man to make him feel like the man. You are masculine for that. She's not even giving up, like, she's not even interrupting. She's not even yelling and going erratic. Like, this woman is calmly stating her point. She's being actually very direct. Like, I don't even know how he's able to spin it around, because she's being very direct and saying exactly what she means, that she does not want to set herself up to be abused or in any kind of way, emotionally, financially, mentally, or anything like that. She doesn't want a human man to have that much power over her. And if you are a religious woman, if you are a Christian woman or raised in the church, that's also biblical. We're not even instructed to put our trust in man. We're instructed to put our trust in God. Like, we're not, and that is because human beings are flawed. Like, human beings make mistakes. Human beings, you know, can change their mind and switch up on you, betray you, lie on you, fend for themselves in their time of serious need. And you're not supposed to put 100% of trust really in anyone. This does include marriage. I mean, obviously you have trust in your marriage, but your spouse is capable of doing anything because they're still a human being. And don't be, like, you know, delusional thinking that your spouse, your mama, your brother, or whoever are not capable of doing something that's disappointing to you, because they, in a sense, are just as capable, right? Obviously, people have character and morals. They're not all just like gonna do all that stuff, especially, you know, hopefully like your family and your spouse. But I'm just saying, like, we're all human. We all make mistakes. You could do something wrong to somebody too. You could be in a position where you might have to betray someone and do something too. Like, we're all human beings. All right. We change, we're fickle, we're emotional, we do things. Okay. And so, she's not supposed to even go into relationships with this mindset of complete, utter, unconditional trust in a man, especially one that she's dating, like that she's getting to know. Absolutely not. No. Absolutely not. And he's really trying to sit there and convince her in one way or another that she needs to be so open to the point she leaves herself vulnerable to those worst case scenarios.
Comfortable. And this is the problem. You're comfortable with having to usurp your way. So a lot of times there's no, when there's a relationship, when women say they want equality, there's no equality. There's no two kings in one castle. There's no two presidents in one country. There's no two CEOs of one company. There's always a leader and somebody submits to your leadership. You want to be in charge.
I don't. I absolutely don't. I will say my dating style, I love a man who will support me, lift me up, help me. But at the same time, I'm not going to relinquish all of my power.
I understand it, but what I'm saying is that what you're communicating is an idea which you feel like you represent. But I'm telling you right now, from even communicating with you, from this conversation, talk to hundreds of women, the energy that you have is very masculine energy.
Oh my God.
You can say all.
Child, I just feel like he's just saying a bunch of just crap. I've talked to hundreds of women. You're getting very masculine. How is she getting masculine? Again, like all she's talking about is her fears. All she's talking about is she wants to be able to keep doing what she's doing that makes her she wants to have something for herself throughout her relationships and throughout her marriage. She does not want to give up every part of her identity, of her being, of her wellness to make a man comfortable or to believe that that's what it takes to be a submissive wife. It's actually not. I know plenty of women that married and they own property, they have investments and things like that, and they did not have to sell all that stuff just to have a husband. No, they didn't. Actually, their husbands liked that their woman had something going on. They liked that. That shows that she was responsible, that she was disciplined. And those are traits he was looking for in a wife and soon to be mother of his child. These beta males, these males with mics, have no idea what the hell they're talking about. She even said flat out, like, I'm not even trying to quote unquote lead. I just want a man who's going to support me throughout my passions, my purpose, and we can have a relationship and a beautiful life together. I don't believe that me having something going on for myself is threatening to my man because I'm not in competition with him. She's actually also saying that, like, she's going to love her man just as much, but she's not going to express that love for him by giving up her life, her livelihood. She's going to express that love for him. You know how you can express a love for a man without giving up your livelihood? First of all, by being with his tail and being loyal to him in the first place, okay? Because not everyone is trying to be with some of these guys. Okay, so commitment within itself, like not everyone's out here just committing. So getting commitment within itself is a really big major sign that someone is expressing that they want to be with you and grow with you and open to developing that love for you, especially if it's a commitment through marriage. That is like the ultimate sign, in my opinion, of expressing love for someone, when you're committing your life to them. But if someone is telling you, you need to give this up, you need to sell this, you need to do all of that, that's not love. That genuinely is, yes, control, predatory behavior. They want you to be willing to be down and out to prove that you love them. That man has issues. He's very insecure. He clearly never received much of anything as a child. Maybe he wasn't taken seriously. So he now is looking for you to express that you're very serious about him by giving up something that's very serious in your life. In my opinion, that's what I think.
All that you want, but the idea is you want somebody to join your team. You want somebody to join your program. You want someone to follow and
I want to
support
join
you.
someone's team just the same. I think
But that's not how it works. That's not how it works. When two companies merge, one company joins one company. When two kingdoms merge, one king joins one kingdom.
And that's fine. but I'm not going to put my personal well-being in jeopardy.
But
which is healthy. I think it's healthy. Why is it an extreme to care?
So you know what's interesting that he just said? He just said that when he said he brought up the kingdom analogy, and he said when one kingdom gets with another kingdom, one is joined under the other one, instead of like two kingdoms being leading together. But what I don't think he could also accept is that a woman can have like her own little kingdom of assets, investments, and properties, and she can join in the kingdom with the man and what he has too, and they can both have double together. That's also the joining of a kingdom. And there's plenty of couples who do that. That's actually like a norm, where a woman has her own, the man has his own, they come together, and now it's one big like pot of gold. Right? Like, I don't know one guy who's truly kingdom minded and building like a family and is going to turn down a woman who has assets. Instead, he's going to look at that as a plus, like, oh my gosh, we can build a great family together. Her assets mixed with my assets. We both have our own resources to have an amazing life together. For our kids, for vacations, to invest in other properties together. We can pull from our separate assets and do, like, there's so many things that can happen with that. And only a foolish man would turn down a woman who has something going on and instead choose a woman who can't do anything to help, like, with nothing. Like, just choose a woman who's just skinny and pretty, and like, that is just wow.
To care
saying,
about yourself?
No, you're making an extreme argument. You're saying that I'm putting my personal well-being in jeopardy. You're not. A lot of women who are in happy, healthy relationships, they're not putting their personal well-being in jeopardy. By being with a masculine man and submitting to them happily, they're actually putting their personal well-being at the forefront of their life, and they're benefiting from it, from that masculine man's lead. But in your situation, let me tell you what's going to happen. Unfortunately, you're going to have to find a feminine man who's going to have to follow you, who's going to have to be led by, and you know what happens? Of course you don't want that, because no woman does. But the number one problem is, though you don't want that, the man that you want won't want you. And
I'll be honest, I've never had any of these issues in any relationship in my life.
Okay, then why are you so sick?
And see, that's the funny part. Like, they say those things, and then women who are actually the ones dating men for real will say that's not how it is. Like, I attract men with money and accomplishments while having my own, and they are not turned off. They are not feminine. Like, they want to lead. They want to have real relationships with me. What you're saying, that I'm going to turn down men because I own property or because I have a 6-figure at-home business, that's not happening to majority of women that have those things. They're not getting ducked and dodged by high quality men. They're not. They're getting ducked and dodged by insecure men, by men who are weak. But they're not getting ducked and dodged by real men who understand the meaning of owning things, of ownership, of leadership. They're looking at those women with stuff to offer, like, damn, like, she got this all on her own. She knows what it's about. I need her in my household. Like, I need a woman like that, like this, instilling values and these beliefs and these qualities in my future children.
Single right now.
What? Well, I didn't say I'm single.
Okay, so you're not single.
I mean, I'm seeing a person in my
life. So you're single.
I don't.
All right, I'm about done with that. Because honestly, he's just gonna talk about, oh, but you're still single though, and all of these things to just the whole need to be right type of stuff. Like, he's done making his points. She's not masculine. She's not saying she doesn't want a man to lead. She's saying that she doesn't want to set herself up to get got. And these men have a problem with that, and that is weird. They genuinely do look like predators. They genuinely do look insecure. They do look weak because they are equating what a woman has on her resume and in her bank account, and they're using that as the deciding factor of if she's feminine or not. And that's not the deciding factor. And it's just giving that these men are educated lames who are very green, who have clearly been in the books way too much. They don't know anything about women in relationships, femininity at all. And now that they are, now that they have money and skills, they want to use it on the internet. But these males with mics don't know anything regarding the stuff that they're talking about. Hafiz claims to be a Christian and forgets about Proverbs 31 woman who is a landowner and in Texas. Yep, absolutely. The Proverbs 31 woman, she owned her own stuff. She also invested. Okay, the Proverbs 31 woman, which is like the ideal like woman of God in the Bible, out in my opinion. There's plenty of scriptures on it, but this ideal woman where they tell you about her life and her routine, these women had things. Like, even if you're not very religious, like throughout history, women still had stuff. They may not have been able to have bank accounts, but do you really think that meant they made no money? No, they just kept their money all in cash and in their purse or in a safe or something. They didn't have a bank account, but they still made money. They were dressmakers, bakers, nannies. Like, women did all types of things to make money. Women were never just not making money throughout history. That's never happened. Now, buying property and having a bank account and a credit card, like, that's one thing. And being able to vote and stuff, that's one thing. But the ability for a woman to have her own has never been illegal. And to like make her own money and develop a skill and be good at it and profit off of it, that was never a problem. It was actually needed. Women, you needed dressmakers, you needed nannies, you needed what are those midwives, doulas, or what are those women called that deliver the babies? Like, you needed women like that, and they profited off of that. They got paid for that. So it's very unrealistic to be on the internet and telling women that the less they have, the less they make, or better yet, they shouldn't make or have anything at all. And telling women that is realistic for them to get in relationships. That's never been the case, ever. That's never been the case. All right, guys, I'm going to leave this live up. I just wanted to come on and show you guys a few things. I hope that you ladies enjoyed. Like the video. Subscribe if you're a first-time listener. Comment down below what you guys think. I'm going to upload a womanhood video next. And I will talk to you ladies later. The next time I go live, it will be a late night girl chat live. And that one I will not leave up. But I'll let you ladies know when it's going to happen so that you guys are prepared and can get on. It'll probably be like 6 p.m. Well, maybe like around this time. But it'll be a separate live where we can just talk about a few things. Really raw and real live. But I will not leave it up. So make sure that you tune in. But anyways, I will talk to you ladies later and have a great rest of your evening. Bye.